Hey, what's up? My name is Tackless, and today I'm going to be making a quick video on fixes that have been made to games that were bad that made them worse. Specifically speaking, I'm going to talk about two games that I loved the originals, and I've gotten my hands on them. They're not out yet. And those two games are Halo Wars 2 and Titanfall 2. To quickly summarize what I'm talking about, I'm going to be talking about games that were good but flawed, so the developers mostly decided to ruin everything when they fixed them. I'm mostly going to be focusing on Titanfall 2 because that's the one that enrages me the most, but I'll also be talking about Halo Wars as well. So, looking at Titanfall, Titanfall 1 was a great game. It had some rather major issues, but overall the game was fantastic. When you actually got into the game, the gunplay, the Titan play, the wall running, the movement mechanics, the balance, it was all really good. I mean, some guns were a little better than others, naturally, and not everything was perfect, but overall it was a really solid game. Now, the lack of a campaign definitely hurt it. The fact that it didn't get private matches for ages didn't help. Limited guns, limited Titans, limited customization, all of this hurt the game. And I think that's why people didn't love it and eventually stopped playing it. Was because once you kind of figured the game out and played it for a little while, you were pretty much done at that point. Because there weren't a ton of guns to unlock, there wasn't a lot of neat things to upgrade, you couldn't customize your Titans. Heck, you couldn't even put a decal on your Titan for ages. They eventually added that. And they added DLC, which eventually all went free, which I picked it up when it was free. And the DLC maps are alright, they're not the best. If you hear dinging in the background, that's my cat being a dork. But yeah, overall, me and Sauce, we played the game extensively. I'm sure we both have over 100 hours logged into it. I've scored over 100 in attrition, and that's mostly on players, not on bots. He scored over 130 in attrition. We played the heck out of that game. Friggin' loved that game. We got to the point where eventually just playing the game and winning the matches got a little boring, so we'd start goofing around, and we'd like go into Last Titan Standing, and rather than going and fighting the enemy, we would hide in the corner and just wait for the clock to time out or wait for them to find us, because usually our remaining 4 teammates could get a couple of kills and wither their damage down, and us, with completely full health bars, would just wait the game out and win, because whichever team has the most health remaining wins, if not everyone's dead. I know, dirty tactics, but we had a lot of fun with it. So what I'm trying to make here is that Titanfall was a great game with a couple of issues. What Titanfall 2 should do is they should add a campaign, they should add more guns, and they should add more Titans. And that's it. They shouldn't do anything else. What they decided to do was ruin everything. They decided to change the movement mechanics, change the Titan mechanics, change the Titan speed, change the Titan's health, change the pilot's health, change the maps, change the map design, and pretty much lose all focus on the game, because holy cow is Titanfall 2 terrible. At least the beta. Gotta say, game isn't out. If the game comes out and it's wonderful, I'll be the first to pick it up and say I love it. But the beta, the first weekend that they did their tech test was bad, and then they made revisions and it made it worse, and I felt like killing myself because it was terrible. It seemed like they lost all focus and all vision. That was one thing I loved about Titanfall 1. They had a very clear focus and vision. They wanted a Call of Duty game that you could wall run and double jump and have mechs in. That was pretty much the game, and it was so cool, and it had such a cool atmosphere, and the gunplay was crisp and sharp if you could get over some of the odd buggy netcode issues and the screen tearing. So rather than just add more content to an already excellent game to make it more fun, they decided to change all the mechanics of the game. Now it takes probably twice as many bullets to kill a pilot, which is nearly impossible to track a flying, double jumping, boosting, teleporting, invisible, grappling hook target. On a controller, that is. On PC, it'll probably be easier. But I play on console, so it'll be almost impossible for me. And everyone camps. Everyone camps and everyone snipes. Because everyone uses their stupid grappling hook to get to this top point, and then they hide and they camp. And as soon as you pop your head out of the window, you get domed. And then finally, you charge your Titan, you drop your Titan in, and you hop in the Titan, and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna go wreck these people. Because in Titanfall 1, I was the Titan guy. There were a lot of games where I would get my Titan, and I would never exit the Titan for the whole game, because I would just murder my way to victory. I would rack up three-quarters of my total kills in my Titan. Mostly against other Titans, too. I would hunt for Titans. I would take on 2 or 3 other Titans at once. And don't make this sound like I'm trying to toot my own horn too much, because I know I wasn't the best player ever. But man, the Titans were amazing, and if you were good, you could shred people. And then in Titanfall 2, you call in your Titan, it lands, you hop in, you're like, oh, I'm gonna go smash these people. And then you hit your boost and you realize it's a wet fart. And then you realize that every pilot has weapons that can pretty much just trash you with no notice. And that you have almost no health bar. And you're very slow. And everything's terrible now. They completely changed the mechanics of how the Titans work, how they move, how they attack. Now, it's not just that rather than shooting bullets, he shoots plasma balls. Because, yeah, I'm okay with new Titans. It's not that I want the Atlas, the Ogre, and the little squishy, spindly, fast guy. Can't remember his name. It's not that I want those guys back exactly. I just want a Titan with a similar feel. One that can move across the map quickly, that can engage targets really well, that is fairly good at defending against pilots. I mean, they have done some good things. I like the new rodeo mechanics, if you're not familiar with those. Rather than the pilot jumping on your back and just shooting you until you die, the pilot jumps on your back and takes away a predetermined amount of health and then is forced to jump off. That works for me. I like that. Problem is that they never bother to jump on your back because they'll just camp from 2/3 across the map and hit you with like an energy beam that you have no warning is coming and you can never possibly defend against. It's just a lot of the mechanics of the game are much worse now. And I do truly hope that they get some of these fixed before launch day. But frankly, we're too close to launch day. They're out of time. They can make little tiny adjustments here and there, but they can't make major game balance changing adjustments. It just seems like they've lost all their vision. And that's just talking about the pilots and the Titans. Probably the biggest issue is how apocalyptically bad the maps are designed. The maps are designed for Call of Duty or for Battlefield. Probably closer to Battlefield because everything is wide open. The wall running potential is none. And if you're in a Titan, it works because you got tons of space to work with. If you're a pilot, you might as well go play Call of Duty because you can wall run off of a wall, jump, double jump, and then there's nothing. There's nothing to land on. In Titanfall 1, there were these beautifully set up wall running chains where you go from one wall to the next wall, and you can slide inside of a window, and you could keep wall running and running off of a cliff, and bounce back and forth between a couple of walls. And it was great because while you were wall running, you ran much faster than you did normally. In Titanfall 2, maybe hopefully the maps will be better designed when the game comes out. But every beta I've ever played always showcases their 2 best maps in the beta. And considering the 2 or 3 maps we got in the beta were absolute hot flaming garbage, doesn't bode well for the rest of the game. So yeah, pretty much what I'm trying to get at here is Titanfall 1 was flawed, so rather than fix the flaws, Respawn just scrapped the game and started from scratch and lost all focus, and now the game's terrible. Now let's quickly go over Halo Wars 2. Now I am happy to say that Halo Wars developers did a proper beta. Titanfall 2 was effectively a demo. Halo Wars beta came out a while ago, and the developers have plenty of time to redesign major balance changes and whatnot. But that's another game where Halo Wars 1 was a bit of a flawed game. There's definitely some tactics in that game that are broken, I'd say. Almost impossible to counter. Once again, that's another game that me and Sauce have played a lot of, and we're very, very good at it. Our win rate online is upwards of 85%, and our win rate offline is probably upwards of 95%. We're very good at the game. I get Grizzlies and tanks out as fast as I can. He usually runs air. We move together as a team. I kill the anti-air. He kills the anti-vehicle. and we trash, storm, and demolish everything on our path. It's very effective. Now, our tactic isn't broken. We have been countered. We have been beaten. There have been times where people have used those stupid broken tactics on us. Like doing stupid warthog rushes really early, or using the weirdly balanced brutes to destroy tanks, even though the rock, paper, scissors mechanics say that tanks should destroy brutes. Or when a whole bunch of Covenant make a Scarab and like 9,000 healers, and then a bunch of anti-air to combat any air units that are going to take out the healers. Virtually impossible to kill. Not to mention, any RTS on a console is just not going to receive the same kind of adoration that one would get on PC. Like, I would say of all the genres out there, RTS may be one of the toughest to adapt from PC to console. It's possible, don't get me wrong. Halo Wars is one of the best examples I've ever seen of it. It's a fantastic game. It's just not perfect. It's got its flaws. And I know, especially when the game first came out, just my friends who played the game were like, wow, yeah, we wanted this Halo game, and it comes out in this stupid overhead strategy game, and I wanted to energy sword shank grunt. So I know that initially a lot of, at least within the people I knew, a lot of people didn't really appreciate the game, or they didn't really understand it, I guess. Now that I've gotten into it and I'm really good at it, I friggin' love the game. It's not perfect, don't get me wrong, but I love the game. Similar fashion to Titanfall 2, the Halo Wars 2 beta came out and they decided to change almost everything. They increased the population limit, but then they also vastly increased how much units consume of population. They added a new resource, I want to say it's energy or something like that, with the generators. And they have talked about that they're getting that balanced out because, well, you'd need 10,000 generators in order to make an army. But they said that they got that balanced out. And they are even balancing out the population. So I am glad to say that I'm much more hopeful for Halo Wars 2 than I am for Titanfall 2. But it's another case where they're taking a flawed game and they're changing too much of it. Really, Halo Wars 1 just needed to be refined. It needed more maps. It needed, really just needed the 8 gigabytes of processing power on like Xbox One to really give it that kick in the pants so that we could have full armies. Like, not 40 population versus 50 population, like 100 versus 150. Just, that'd be freaking awesome battles to see. You know, I am still hopeful that those changes work out for the best, but it still has me worried. And probably the main reason I'm making this video is I'm very worried about another game that I loved but was flawed, and that game was State of Decay. State of Decay is probably the most flawed game on this list, and also probably my favorite on this list. I adore State of Decay. I can't even put into words how many hours I've dropped into that game. Game I never would have even bought, really. It didn't really grab my attention. I got it as part of a giveaway, started playing it, got into the mechanics, and that was my weekend. All gone. I think I put 12 hours a day in for like 4 or 5 days straight, and then I started playing it with a little bit more moderation. Recently, I started a new save file, and then I pretty much got addicted again. It was the only game I played for about a week straight, and it's just awesome fun. I love managing my survivors. I love looting for resources. I love how the zombies are well balanced in the sense of that 1 zombie is insignificant, 3 zombies is annoying, 5 zombies is threatening, and then like 7 zombies is you either need a grenade or you need to get out of town. And also, my absolute most feared enemy of any video game ever, by far, is the Feral from State of Decay. If you haven't played State of Decay, you're probably not going to understand what I mean. If you have played State of Decay, I'm sorry for the PTSD flashbacks. The Feral is nightmare material. Anyways, State of Decay was plagued by, oh boy, a lot of issues. Probably the worst performing game that I like. Probably one of the ugliest, graphically speaking, games that I like, especially out in the country where there's, you know, a whole 10 polygons per square mile and the textures I guess they're technically updated from the 360, but it's not all that notable. And if the developers of the game hear this, please don't hear that I hate your game. I love your game. Graphics aren't everything. If the game is good, it could be an NES game for all I care. But it definitely has its flaws. The UI was a little wonky. Some of the shooting mechanics were wonky. I loved the fact that only headshots mattered. You could put a clip into a zombie's chest and it wouldn't matter. But if you landed one sweet headshot, you could just mow down hordes. Ugh, no feeling like it. But I'm worried that State of Decay will hear your game is flawed and think we need to change everything. I don't want them to change everything. I only want them to fix what's wrong. I want them to fix the terrible graphics. I want it to run smoother. It doesn't have to be perfect. I don't need 1080p 60 FPS all the time. But make it run smoother. A more engaging story, because frankly the story wasn't that engaging. Obviously co-op is very welcome. That's a puzzling feature why it wasn't in the game originally. But I'm worried that they're going to change too much. Obviously we haven't seen any of the game yet, so I'm kind of wanting to put this out here before we see anything. That way State of Decay kind of... I'd love to get this to the developers of State of Decay. That's not probably happening. But I'd love for that to happen so that they could kind of get the idea. And hopefully they don't change too much. I want them to fix what's wrong, but not change the complete game mechanics. So hopefully you guys understand where I'm coming from. I know this was a bit of a long, ranty video that didn't have a clear route or destination, but I thought I'd make this video and give you guys my thoughts. So if you guys have any thoughts on the matter, or if you guys have any examples of your own where a game was good but flawed and then was ruined in the sequel or with a patch or something like that, definitely let me know in the comments. So thank you guys for watching, and hopefully State of Decay will be awesome. Hopefully Titanfall 2 will be awesome, and hopefully Halo Wars 2 will be awesome. Have a good day.